Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be covering a company by the name of Avalon GloboCare. It's a biotech company with a really innovative portfolio of intellectual property. There's a lot to like about this company. Before we get into it, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a huge help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you've heard of Avalon before, if you're currently holding shares, and how you think they stack up to some of the other players in the biotech space. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Avalon GloboCare Corporation, trades on the NASDAQ in the United States under the ticker symbol AVCO. Now we're going to talk about some technical chart analysis a little bit later in today's presentation, but I wanted to quickly pull up a 6-month graph. As you can see, they closed out, this is as of Friday, October 7th. They were up 2 cents per share, or about 4.5% on the day, to close out at 47 cents US. And really since about the middle or start of May, they've been kind of trading in this mid to low 40-cent range. And if we actually look back all the way to the 13th of May, you can see they were trading at 45 cents. Now they have had some peaks since then. Start of June, they jumped up to about 59 cents. And the start of August, we hit a high of 75 cents US. They have pulled back slightly. You do see pretty strong support around the 45-cent range. And I think this may be presenting a great buying opportunity if you're looking for exposure to the high growth biotech sector. Now with that being said, if we jump over to the Avalon GloboCare corporate website, I'll leave a link in the video description below. I wanted to introduce you guys in a little bit more detail in terms of what this company is all about, their business model. Then we'll take a look at their investor presentation and jump into a really interesting article I found that lays out some very bullish points in terms of Avalon moving forward. Now first things first, here you can see the landing page, advancing cellular technologies and therapeutics. So really focused on developing new and innovative treatments for existing conditions. If we click on the About Us, you can see the mission behind Avalon is to become a premier healthcare management provider and biotechnology developer, which is why I'm so excited about this pick. They're dedicated to integrating and managing global healthcare resources. They've got high impact biomedical innovations within their portfolio. We're actually going to talk about their IP or intellectual property portfolio and some recent developments there in a couple of slides. And engaging in various different bioventure investments to really build shareholder value for existing investors in this company. Now, as we continue to scroll down, you can see a picture of their corporate headquarters and a brief corporate overview, which I wanted to start off with here. So Avalon GloboCare is a clinical stage leading cell tech bio developer that's dedicated again to advancing and empowering innovative, transformative immuno-effector cell therapy, which we'll talk to in a little bit more detail next up in the presentation, and exosome technology. Now, Avalon has also provided strategic advisory and outsourcing services to facilitate and enhance its clients' growth, development, as well as competitiveness in the healthcare and cell tech industry markets. So it's got an element of advisory or outsourcing within their business model as well. Their subsidiary and joint venture structure contributes to investor flexibility, which is really one of the key differentiators here for me. And their R&D focus enables Avalon to establish a leading role in the fields of immuno-effector cell therapy, again, which we'll talk to in a second here, which include their CAR-T and CAR-NK products, along with the exosome-based regenerative therapeutics, which include their trademarked ACTEX platform, as well as their liquid biopsy diagnostics. And with that being said, we're actually going to jump to the next slide, which talks about these platforms in a little bit more detail. So this is under the Core Platforms tab, again, on the company website. And front and center here, you can see Avalon achieves and fosters seamless integration of unique verticals to bridge and accelerate innovative research, bioprocess development, clinical programs, and product commercialization. So we're going to look at this vertical integration as we move into their investor presentation. But another key thing that differentiates Avalon from some of the other biotech players we've covered on the channel or that operate in this sector, and if we specifically focus in on their upstream research, this is where you can see a lot of those platforms. So the co-development of Avalon's clinical grade tissue-specific exosome, which is that trademarked ACTEX product, which we just mentioned, that's in combination with Weill Cornell Medicine. They've also got their novel therapeutic and diagnostic target development utilizing what's known as QTY-code protein design. That's in partnership with MIT, or the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So you can see the theme developing here with a lot of these high profile partnerships. And then co-development of next generation transposon-based multi-target, that's where the CAR-T and CAR-NK products or platforms come into play, and other immune effector cell therapeutic modalities with or in partnership with Arbele Corp. So again, a lot of partnerships, a lot of different platforms and products in the works here, you guys. And we'll look at a slide in a couple of seconds here, which really talks about some of the timelines and milestones related to these platforms. Now, Avalon's midstream bioprocessing and bioproduction facility is located in China with state-of-the-art automated GMP or good manufacturing process and QC/QA infrastructure for standardized biomanufacturing of clinical-grade cellular products involved in clinical programs in immune effector cell therapy, regenerative therapeutics, as well as biobanking. So a top-notch facility that's custom designed for this type of biomanufacturing. And Avalon's downstream medical team and facilities consist of top-rate affiliate hospital networks and experts in specialized hematology, oncology, cellular immunotherapy, hematopoietic stem, progenerator cell transplant, as well as regenerative therapeutics. So a lot to unpack here, you guys. Very high level medicine and a very specific or hand-picked team that Avalon has developed, whether you're looking at the upstream, midstream, or downstream portion of this corporation. And if we now jump into the investor presentation, you can see again the mission behind Avalon GloboCare is to become that world-class clinical stage biotechnology company, which is dedicated to developing and delivering these innovative and transformative cell tech and multifunctional therapeutics through precision diagnostics and this portfolio of intellectual property in the field of immuno-oncology and cellular medicines. Now, the company itself was founded back in 2016, so a relatively new company. They successfully uplisted to the NASDAQ under the ticker AVCO, which we looked at in the intro back in December of 2018. And again, their production facilities are located in China, but the headquarters is here in the United States in Freehold, New Jersey. And again, you can see a summary of their core technology platforms, which we just discussed in that introduction. Now, if we continue to scroll down under the corporate overview and highlights, you can see they specifically call out all of these partnership platforms and opportunities that we touched on in the previous slide, and the strong intellectual property portfolio, which is the second key way that I feel Avalon has really differentiated themselves. So underpinning Avalon's R&D pipeline is a broad and deep IP portfolio covering a number of key enabling technologies and addressing multi-billion dollars of unmet cell tech markets worldwide. Now, we've seen and talked about this in previous videos, but the opportunity here, or the total addressable market for a lot of these biotech players, is absolutely massive. The current treatment alternatives just really aren't meeting the mark, and I think that's really why this portfolio of intellectual property is going to play out to be so valuable down the road for Avalon. And we're actually going to cover a recent press release which talks about some patent updates towards the end of the video. Now, this slide here does a really good job of visualizing that vertical integration that we talked about a few seconds ago. So you can see their upstream, midstream, and downstream activities listed on the left here. Really centered around that IP portfolio, their bioprocessing and bioproduction capabilities, and the clinical trials and that seasoned or experienced medical team that they've put together. Now, with that being said, I wanted to jump over to this article here from Biotech Stock Market News because it really does lay out some very bullish catalysts for Avalon GloboCare moving forward, and does a really good job of breaking down or simplifying what it is Avalon is exactly trying to solve within the human body. So the article is titled "Little Known Biotech Cracks Code to Mitigate Cancer," and we'll talk about this in more detail in a second here. What could FDA approval mean for this global developer of innovative cell-based technologies and therapeutics, which is, of course, Avalon GloboCare Corporation? Now, we've already taken a look at the corporate presentation. If you continue to scroll down here, you can see there's a quick update on some US patent regulation. We're going to jump into that article in a second, but first I wanted to talk about 6 key reasons or catalysts why Biotech Stock Market News feels Avalon could be on the cusp of a major breakthrough throughout the remainder of 2022. Now I'll talk about these ones briefly and then we'll expand on each of these 6 points in a little bit more detail. So number one, Avalon just announced a new research study applying artificial intelligence or AI to their enhanced protein design known as the QTY-code technology, which we talked about, which is expected to accelerate the development of therapeutic monoclonal antibodies to actually treat cancer. So this is really all in service of supporting the body to fight or treat cancerous cells. Now secondly, Avalon could be one of the most overlooked biotech stocks in 2022, with shares trading just above the 52-cent range as we saw in the intro, so significantly undervalued compared to the technology and the intellectual portfolio that they have within their organization. The third point here, Avalon has jointly filed 16 patent applications and co-invented with key strategic partners, which we looked at, including a world-leading university. So making reference again to their intellectual portfolio or patent portfolio and those strategic partnerships, which we talked about on the company website. The fourth point, the company is headquartered in a hotbed and breeding ground for successful biotech companies, which as a whole, this area was responsible for 70 new FDA drug approvals between 2020 and 2021. So they're in the right place to really innovate and create a lot of this technology. Fifth, Avalon insiders currently own 63% of available shares, so insider ownership is extremely high at this company. We've talked about this a lot in relation to these smaller microcap type of firms. You want to see management really putting their money where their mouth is and investing their own money in these organizations. And the sixth point, we've already seen aggressive M&A activity in this sector with CAR-T funding on the rise and big dollars from huge blue chip organizations pouring into this sector. So potential exit opportunity through M&A down the road. Now to kick things off here, more on the technical side of things, back to the chart here, we've seen Avalon insiders literally buy millions of shares back in July of 2022, which again is a huge vote of confidence for this organization. And on the technical side of things, for those technical traders out there, we're starting to see what's known as a descending triangle breakout strategy, as you can see on the chart here, which may imply upside in excess of 40%. So what this actually means is if shares of Avalon trend above the first resistance line we're seeing in the 49-cent range, which we have recently seen, then the company is really poised or could break out to that next line of resistance, which is drawn at the 72-cent range. And if that happens, that would imply an upside in excess of 40%. Based on where we're currently sitting in the high 40-cent range. So I know we don't cover a lot of technical analysis on the channel, but that's definitely one thing to take note of here, you guys. If you're someone who really likes to look at the charts to support an investment thesis or investment decision. Now, as we continue to scroll down, this is where it really gets interesting. So they start to break down and simplify the Avalon GloboCare business model and what this company is really trying to solve. So it all starts with your body's T cells. We've talked about T cells in previous videos, and these really represent your body's frontline soldiers within your immune system. Now, generally, T cells are very effective in getting your body back into healthy shape. However, sometimes there's situations where there's no match for deadly conditions for things like blood cancer, more specifically leukemia, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which you've probably heard about previously or know someone who unfortunately has experienced. Now that's when or where this CAR-T therapy comes into play. So CAR-T stands for chimeric antigen receptor T cells. And CAR-T therapy works by extracting your body's own T cells, genetically modifying them with a receptor that directly attacks specific types of cancers. So this is all in pursuit of supporting patients who are dealing with some of these types of cancers. The cells are then grown and multiplied in the lab, which is why it's so important to have a state-of-the-art facility like we see with Avalon before being reintroduced into the body, where they can then hunt down the cancerous elements in the body's bloodstream. And that's why you'll hear a lot of experts refer to CAR-T therapy as a living cure for some of the world's most deadliest diseases. And the success rates for these type of treatments really are quite staggering. So even in the earliest forms as a treatment for blood cancer, this relatively non-invasive treatment leads to lasting remission rates in no less than 30 to 40% of patients, which is absolutely phenomenal, especially considering how many people around the world or individuals are battling with these type of conditions. And Avalon is actually looking to use their technology to increase this remission rate or drive that success rate drastically higher. Now, as we mentioned on the company website, all of this is really underpinned by Avalon's extensive and revolutionary research team. So Avalon again leverages that vertically integrated business model to become that leading cell tech bio developer. And now that we understand a little bit more about the CAR-T therapy, you can see their core focus at the moment is their third generation CAR-T therapy, which has the potential to be useful in the treatment of cancer and other life-threatening diseases, as we just talked about, along with their FASH-CAR technology and stem cell-derived exosome technology, which is that ACTEX platform. Now, ACTEX can be used to treat a wide variety of conditions, from neurodegenerative disorders to immune health, orthopedic applications, wound management, and even weight management. So this is not wholly focused on cancer treatment. And Avalon's portfolio of intellectual property and these platforms can really help solve a wide variety of conditions that plague people around the world. And that's why earlier I said that this is a huge market opportunity or total addressable market for this organization. Now, back in January of 2019, Avalon GloboCare successfully filed for a $50 million shelf offering and was also staked an additional $20 million credit facility from Chairman Daniel Liu. Now, what's interesting about Daniel Liu, he also happens to be the chairman of the Liu Dopei Hospital Group, which is China's largest hematology and CAR-T treatment center. So another strategic investor and partnership that Avalon can leverage. And they then go on to talk about the vertical integration, the upstream, midstream, and downstream programs that we talked about in the intro. So if we now pause and jump back to the investor presentation, it starts to make a lot more sense in terms of what the CAR-T and FASH-CAR technology or cell therapy is really all about. And you can see they go on to provide extensive detail about these various different platforms or technologies, which I would highly encourage you to go in and take a closer look at if you're thinking about investing in Avalon. And as you continue to scroll through the various different slides, you can see recent press releases. So Avalon GloboCare announces successful completion of phase 1 clinical study of their CAR-T cell candidates and expanding the potential use cases. So here you can see CAR-T cell therapy to bone marrow transplant creates a new therapeutic horizon. And there you can actually see some of these improved remission rates, upwards of 90% during these clinical trials. So really an extensive amount of activity and technology that the team at Avalon has put together, and exactly why I'm so excited about this investment opportunity. Now, if we jump back to the article from Biotech Stock Market News, the next thing I wanted to discuss really surrounds this QTY-code breakthrough technology. So Avalon has recently announced a new research study applying AI or artificial intelligence enhanced protein design to their QTY-code technology. So they're really combining biotech and AI to push the boundaries of therapeutic development. Now, this research demonstrates a novel method for quickly predicating the design of what's called water-loving or hydrophilic variant structures across different glucose transport membrane proteins. So what this really means, you guys, is the delivery system within your body and allowing receptor proteins to become water-soluble proteins. So this is a major catalyst, again, for Avalon and a huge step forward in the delivery and treatment of many tumor types and potentially important targets for cancer therapy. And that really all supports this robust portfolio of intellectual property. So another point here, Avalon has recently filed to protect their IP. You can see that they've jointly filed 16 patent applications and co-invented with key strategic partners, which we talked about in the intro, including a top 5 US university, which is MIT, and leading education and research centers in Europe, as well as a premier multinational developer of cellular therapies in the field of oncology. Now, they filed patents in the US to the Patent and Trademark Office, the China National Intellectual Property Administration, and the Patent Cooperation Treaty, covering 36 different countries to really further protect their technology. And this new intellectual property really falls into 3 core patent families. So the first is focused on engineering and biomanufacturing of novel CAR-T cells. The second has to do with solubility in terms of these targeted receptor cells. And the third patent family talks about the novel S-layer coated emulsion technology, which is similar to a molecular GPS system to guide the trafficking and delivering of these payloads to targeted destinations in the body. So really protecting their IP or intellectual property holistically from the development all the way to the delivery. And then finally, the article goes on to talk about Avalon's headquarters location, again, located in New Jersey here, you guys, where we've seen a ton of development in the biotechnology sector and is now home to over 3,200 establishments, with 46 of those firms being responsible for that staggering 70 new FDA drug approvals we saw between 2020 and 2021. So really access to some of the best and brightest individuals in the biotech sector here in North America. And then finally, we talked about that aggressive M&A activity or investor attention in this sector, where we've seen a number of multi-billion-dollar deals being signed, and overall there's been nearly $100 billion of market capitalization from CAR-T related companies within recent years, which could be one of the main reasons we see that impressive insider ownership percentage in excess of 63%. And as promised, I wanted to quickly jump over to this article here, which came out fairly recently, September 29th, which talks about Avalon receiving allowance from the Joint U.S. Patent Department for this water-soluble technology or water-soluble receptor protein platform, which we discussed. And this really represents a breakthrough for the QTY-code, which can turn difficult to work with water-insoluble transmembrane receptor proteins into water-soluble proteins, like we talked about in that last article. And that's exactly what we see in the comments from David Jin, who's the CEO of Avalon, as we continue to strengthen our IP portfolio, as we believe our novel QTY-code protein holds great potential for biotechnology applications. So a really fitting way to end the video, you guys, as they're continuing to build out and secure this portfolio of intellectual property. So for those reasons, I really feel Avalon GloboCare is well positioned to be a powerhouse in the future in terms of companies that are looking at cancer immunotherapy and cellular medicine. And as we talked about in the article from Biotech Stock Market News, 6 key catalysts on the horizon that really support this thesis. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about Avalon? Are you currently holding shares? And how do you think they stack up to some of the other biotech players in this space? If you're still watching the video at this point in time, hopefully you found some value. So make sure you hit the like button. And if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.